This is Dads Watching Sports. It's the show by dads who watch sports, for dads who watch sports, or just dads in general. Here are the dads with a plan for every hashtag dad life and sports fan. Matt Kirk, Kyle Castles, and Michael Draper.
Welcome in to Dad's Watching Sports. I am Michael Draper along with Kyle Castles and Matt Kirk. And guys, it is September. We are finally into the month of September, and it is college football season, and all is fun and great and grand in the world. Welcome to Dad's Watching Sports. It's Sunday, September 5th. It's Labor Day weekend. Guys, any big Labor Day plans? What's going on in the Kirk household this weekend, Matt?
Man, we did a whole bunch of nothing. It's pretty nice. I actually went dove hunting on Saturday morning and hung out with my kids while my wife went out, with a couple of her friends, and just kind of enjoyed the day, man. But I killed 12 doves over the weekend, so I'll take it. And unfortunately, how small the dove breast is, my family will be hungry if I was having to feed them off of what I killed. So.
Well, luckily you got that big deer as you took down last year. You got a lot of that still, I'm sure, left over to keep them fed.
Oh, yeah. There's plenty there. But other than that, man, we just hung out and watched football.
We were talking about it before the show, Kyle. Mississippi State squeaked one out.
Yeah.
Arkansas got a win. Kentucky not only got a win, but they got a cover last kind of backdoor cover at the very end as they knocked off Louisiana Monroe. But all three of us got a win, man. It's a great start to the season.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah. I was talking with Wrigley had baseball practice Saturday afternoon. And I was talking with one of his assistant coaches, and they were like, so who's Mississippi State got this week? And told him La Tech, and he said, so it should be a win. I said, look, you're not a Mississippi State fan and you don't get it. We don't take anything. I've seen us lose to Maine. I can't just assume we're going to win anything. So it was good to get a win, but I didn't think it was actually going to happen when we were down, 27 or whatever.
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit more college football with the three of us here later on in the show. Plus, this week it is the debut of the best tailgate food bracket. I know everybody's extremely excited about that. So we got some great individuals that gave us their picks for that, and that got us our seeds, and then we got the field of 32, and one of those individuals is simply known as the man in the Michigan hat. He has been with us before. His name is Shane. He's from the Frustration Nation podcast. He is a diehard Michigan Wolverines fan. We're going to bring him on right now. Shane, welcome back to Dad's Watching Sports, my man. How are you?
What's up, boys? How we doing? Doing good.
Man, we are good. It's been a while since you've graced the Dad's Watching Sports airwaves. I went back and looked, and it was episode 27. We are now on episode 81. So,
wow,
or 80, excuse me. So it's been a while, but glad to have you back on. How are things going for you?
Good to be back. Yeah, it's a lot has changed just in the sports landscape, and then both of our podcasts all continuing to roll on. So yeah, it's been really good. Just excited to have football back, though. Like, as much as I hate on my own team, I wouldn't go back to not having games. So, no, I'm excited.
Yeah, having games, and I think the thing that was like the biggest excitement for me this weekend is having fans back at games. Like the atmospheres this weekend were just awesome.
Yeah,
and we'll talk a little bit about that, but. Shane, we brought you on. You're a big Michigan guy, and we're going to talk a little bit of Michigan this week. We kind of over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be kind of highlighting a game every year or every week. This week was going to be Michigan and Washington. Then, of course, Washington goes and loses to Montana. But we'll still talk about the game. But before we get there, the question everybody wants to know about Michigan is this the year that Michigan can finally beat Ohio State? So we're going to start there, even though that's the last game of the season. Is this the year it finally happens?
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, I'm at the point now where I believe like a solar eclipse, a nuclear apocalypse, and the end of the world as we know it is more likely than Michigan beating Ohio State. It's impossible. It's not going to happen. I've given up all hope on that. I know objectively the odds say it should happen at some point, but it will not happen under Jim Harbaugh. So I guess last year I fully abandoned watching the team the second half of the season. I just couldn't take it anymore. And so I'm back in this year, but no more. I'm not interested in the hype. I'm not interested in the what ifs, the hypotheticals, looking ahead. Like, I just want to come out of this season, and we'll get into that, with either a coaching change or like clear signs of improvement. And I could tell you what I think is most likely going to happen. And I think that he'll be gone. But yeah, I mean, I am kind of a pessimistic fan in general, I guess. I don't want to be too negative. I mean, we're 1-0, but that's kind of where my head's at, especially looking at Ohio State. I mean, they could look as bad. They could lose every game going into the Michigan game, and it would not change my mind.
Yeah.
So.
I think it'd be smart for them to change that to the college kickoff game for both of them. That would be the time that Michigan could sneak one out.
I mean, that's the only chance you really have, is before, like, maybe you get them with a new quarterback while he's still rusty. Instead, you just every year, right when they finally get everything rolling and they're like at the height of their momentum. Yeah, let's play them then. So, yeah.
All right, Matt.
What?
Well, we have a list of questions for our guests.
Oh, yes, we do.
Here's
Yes,
the
we
next
do.
one.
I'm sorry. Yes, we do, don't we? So, have you been able to get your kids to cheer
Excuse
for your
Matt.
team?
It's his first.
Whoa.
Excuse
Oh,
Matt.
that's
It's his first.
Michael. That's Matt Kirks.
Yeah. Matt,
Real question
I'm
too,
going to
Matt.
ask you a question for you.
I'm sorry. I'm all out.
No, you're good.
I'm
You're
all
good.
out of sorts here. Well, so what? But you guys already. So what do you consider a successful season for Michigan this year? You said just
Attaboy.
improvement, right?
There we go.
Yeah.
Good job.
No, that's a good question. A lot of fans would put like a win number on this. Like, if we win at least 8 games, it's a successful season. Like, for me, I'm tired of the like good but not great kind of mediocre seasons where it's like 8-4, maybe you get 9 wins, you lose to Ohio State, you lose in the bowl game, and that's another year of the same thing. Like, I'm sick of that. To me, a successful season is either so dramatically good or so dramatically bad that at least we have a clear sense of what needs to happen moving forward. Like, to me, the worst case scenario is you go 8-4, you get blown out by Wisconsin, Penn State, Ohio State, you lose the bowl game, and we don't know what to do going into the next year. Like, to me, that's worst case scenario. So I guess be terrible or be dramatically improved. Like, that's best case. I'll take either one at this point.
That's how Arkansas was with Chad Morris too. I understand that.
Mm-hmm. It's like you're stuck in this like sports purgatory where you're just always mediocre. You're not bad enough to fire your coach, and it's hard to justify that, but you're never going to get to the next level. So you're just always stuck at mediocre. It's like the worst thing you can be. So, yeah.
See, this is why you got to be a Mississippi State fan, because if you told me it's 8-4 every year and we lose a bowl game, I'll call it a success.
Yeah.
I'm all for that. So I feel like you've kind of given us this. But I guess the question is this the way you think about it, or is this how you feel like the Michigan fan base feels about Jim Harbaugh? Like, just go one way or another, completely suck or get over the hump, but either way, do something besides be middle of the road. Do you think that's kind of the way all Michigan fandom feels right now?
I think that's more than ever has become like a common way of looking at the team. Michigan always has a lot of fans, and this is part of the problem I have with my own team and with my fan base. It's like, historically, a lot of our fans have been okay with that. And I guess I'm not. Like, what I get so frustrated by is I hate when it feels like I care more about winning than the team itself does. And I know that I don't, but it's like you get that perception because they're okay with that record and okay with losing to Ohio State every year. At least that's what they say by their actions. And so I think this year it's kind of turning. I think there's less hype for Michigan this year than I've ever seen as a Michigan fan. Less offseason hype. You still get some because it's Michigan and Michigan loves offseason hype, but it is less than normal. The fans are kind of more fed up than I've ever seen them be. And I think you have a big section of fans right now that, don't care, want Harbaugh fired either way. I'd say the majority still want him to succeed, but he needs to this year. Like, perception has been like, enough is enough, get it done. give us answers one way or the other. So I think that's pretty common right now.
They want him to succeed because they want that maize and blue to succeed. And if he can't do it, then it's time to get going.
Yep.
That I really want. Can I just throw a question in, Mike? Or
yeah, absolutely. And then I've got one too. So go ahead.
Go for it. Go for it.
So if it's not Jim Harbaugh, who is it? Because let's be honest, when Harbaugh was hired, it was like, okay, this is the guy to take Michigan back to Schembechler days and whatever, and it's not happening. So if it's not Harbaugh, who is it?
Yeah, it's a good question. And for a long time, I feel like that's been why the fan base has been okay with where we're at, because there's this fear that you fire Harbaugh and things get dramatically worse, like it was before he got there.
You bring in Rich Rodriguez again, right?
Exactly, yeah. So I get that. I guess I'm more, and maybe it's because I'm a fan of a lot of really bad Detroit professional teams, I'm more okay with taking our shot, and if we suck, we suck. At least we tried. To me, it's like, the team recruits so well and it's so talented and it's such a big brand. Yeah, somebody might come in and be dramatically worse, but I think any coach with a pulse is going to be at least comparable. I think that there's little that he's done that most coaches in America couldn't have done. And I know Rich Rod's worse and stuff, but really, was he that much worse? It's not like Harbaugh's accomplished anything more significant. He's won more regular season games, but when you talk about beating Ohio State, winning bowl games, it's like Rich Rod wasn't that far behind him. So I think it's a tough question. There's been some names floated out there. To me, I would rather just, if you decide he's not the guy, move on from him and then find your guy. Don't let that be what stops you from making the decision you need to make. So.
I understand that Michigan hates Ohio State, but there's a guy down in Cincinnati right now.
Yeah, there is. A good coach. Yeah, he's a really good coach. We'll see.
That'd be a tough sell, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
One other question I had before we get into the Washington games and then shifts gears into some dad talk, but how much has it also played into the kind of pain and misery? Not only has Michigan just not met expectations over the past decade, but Ohio State has been, right there almost every single year. They have a national championship within the playoff. You've had Michigan State, who's made the playoff. You've had Iowa, who's made the playoff. You've had Penn State, who's been a team that's been right there a couple of years. So how much does it add to it, seeing those rivals having so much success, here and there, but not Michigan?
Yeah, that's what really rubs me the wrong way as a fan. It's like, if it was just Ohio State, it would still be, as our biggest rival, a tough pill to swallow, but at least you could make the justification, well, who could beat Ohio State? They're at a historically great level right now. It's kind of unfair to compare us to them. I'd still be upset, but at least you could understand that. What bothers me is when you have a school like Indiana, which is how do you even win a football game coaching at Indiana, and they surpass you? And then Michigan State, Harbaugh splits his games against a terrible Michigan State team. It's they've had some decent years, but there's no reason you shouldn't be dog walking Michigan State by 40 points every time you play them, and you split those games. It's that's what really bothers me as a fan. It's almost like it seems so impossible to even talk about Ohio State because there's 5 steps we have to take before we're even in that conversation. And it starts with beating teams like Michigan State and Indiana, which he has not been able to do recently. So yeah, that's a whole nother level of, it's bigger than just the Ohio State problem. So.
Sure.
All right. So but he did get a win yesterday. And that's more than some schools like Washington, who couldn't beat the Grizzlies from Montana, right?
Half of the schools out there, Kyle.
So
about half the schools.
About half. So how many or how much stock do you want to put in week 1 and say, okay, they couldn't beat Montana. We won. I'm sorry, I forget who Michigan played yesterday.
Western Michigan, yeah.
Western Michigan. There you go. And drummed Western Michigan as Michigan should.
Yep.
So do you put that stock and say, okay, Michigan's here, Washington is not as good as we all thought, it should be an easy win, or predict this Washington game on Saturday?
Yeah, I think Michigan. It's tough because Washington, is coming off they're a talented team. You're going to learn a lot about them by how they respond to this. if they're a really badly coached team and just a bad team, they're going to come out and be terrible and lose to Michigan and their season's going to fall apart. If they're a good team who got caught looking ahead and actually has a spine, they could adjust and see this as a revenge game, put everything they have into this game. And now Michigan's in a lose-lose scenario where either you lose to Washington or it doesn't matter because they just lost to Montana. You beat a bad team, So as a Michigan fan, you just got to win this game either way. Like, don't even leave it up to be analyzed. Like, just win the game. I think Michigan will win this game. I think Washington's still a dangerous team who just got caught week 1. I think Michigan should beat them though. But again, it's like week 1 and even beating Washington, like I'm going to enjoy the wins because you can't take any win for granted. And I'm still just a fan of Michigan. But as far as does it change my perception on the team or do I allow it to like get me more excited and looking ahead? Like I'm trying my best to not do that. Because as a fan, you're going to get hurt every year when your team loses. It's part of being a fan, but I'm refusing to allow myself to get sucked into the hype again. Like I'm doing everything I can to just be happy, but be very measured in my response. Maybe that'll help with the pain. We'll see. So
cautiously optimistic. That's That's I mean, as a Kentucky fan, a Mississippi State fan, a Michigan fan, Arkansas fan. That's the way we all have to be throughout the season for the most time. All right, let's switch to dad life for a little bit before we let you go. I know we had you and Kyle on back last year. We talked a little bit about this. I know you got 2 young kids, but how's life with the 2 young kiddos? And how did you guys, or have you been able to kind of get out of the quarantine phase of COVID, and how's life treating you?
It's been good. Yeah. So I've got my oldest, my son is 4. I just turned 4 this summer and my daughter turns 2 in October. So it's been, I mean, you guys, it's like tough ages, young kids, especially the times we've kind of had to be more inside. But I mean, we have a big yard, there's parks by us and stuff. So we've always had options. So, I mean, no, it's been good. I guess just the same kind of struggles anybody has with young kids at any time in history. So, but no, it's been great. They've been good. Doing well. Everybody's been good.
That's good. So have you been able to get your kids to cheer for your teams? The Detroit, I'm not sure what teams you're a fan of, but I know Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan, Red Wings, Tigers, Lions, Pistons, and no, I haven't even been able to get my wife to care at all. So I think I'll have better luck with my kids once they get a little older. But they're still a little too young to like. I tried to sit down with Levi, my oldest, and watch the Michigan game, and he saw about half of one play, and then he was gone. So it's like, all right, progress though. I think maybe around next year I'll try to get him to watch a couple. The year after that, maybe I'll take him to a game. But yeah, do a little each year. Every offseason we'll get a little closer, I think. So
that's right.
So
you gotta build and build and build.
Exactly. Yep.
Brick by brick.
So you're
that's right.
Oh, who's that? Whoever. So are they just not like in the sports at all, or do y'all do some stuff like your best sports memory here is kind of what I'm digging for?
Yeah.
Just with your kids, like sports with your kids.
Yeah, so far there's no memories at all of like watching sports with them. There's no attention span there to do that. But like I'll take the kids out and we'll play, like he's got like a T-ball set. So like trying to teach him how to swing the baseball bat, and like he's had a couple hits and he's just starting to figure it out a little bit. So like going outside and playing sports has been a lot of fun. And that's been tying back to what you said, guys were talking about, like stuff you do with them during the summer and everything. Like that's been fun this year. So I think we're still a little ways away from being fans of sports, but as far as playing the sports, he's enjoyed that. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, last week on our show, we talked a lot about leadership roles of dads, and that comes in many ways, shapes, and forms. But when you think of the word leadership and your role as a dad, what does that word mean to you, or what does that kind of spur off in terms of what do you think about?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So my dad was a great dad, a great leader, and so a lot of like what is important to me or the things I think of him. I guess to me, the best leaders, if you can hear my kids screaming in the background, it's like it's going to make whatever I say now sound phony, but yeah. But no, I'd say sacrificial, like loving sacrificially. So like, what does that look like when it comes to my hobbies or free time or ways that I find to like sacrifice my own things I'd rather be doing? I think that's big, especially right now, their ages. I mean, honestly, there's times when it's not very fun to hang out with them, but it's, you sacrifice, you try to lead in that way. I think of like one of my favorite Bible verses, John, I think 15:13 or 13:15 is like, no greater love than to lay down your life for a friend. And it's like, as a dad, how do I lay down my life for my wife, for my kids? It's like, what are ways that I sacrifice to love them well? So, I mean, that's obviously a work in progress. I don't think there's ever been a day that went by that I did that very perfectly. But just try to tell myself, like, this is the most important thing. The most important area I'm called to lead, more important than leading at work or leading in other ways, leading teams I coach, like, how do I lead my kids and my family? And I think it's just, loving them well.
Yeah. So. It's funny you mentioned that about like sacrificial and thinking like going through different scenarios. So earlier this evening, my wife and I, we broke out our ping pong table and we were just kind of hitting it back and forth, and our kids come down and they're like, oh, what is this? And they've never played it before. And so, we were kind of in a good rhythm, and then of course they want to play, and of course they have no idea, and they're awful, and they're just like swinging and missing completely. And so having to like, okay, we were having fun, but it's okay. We need to teach them, and we're gonna have fun regardless. And this is gonna be excruciating for like 30 minutes, but we're gonna get through this. I completely understand it. We all go through it without a doubt.
Yeah, for sure. That's like a metaphor for life as a parent, that ping pong game. It's like, that's a picture of how everything is for,
No doubt.
Yeah, that's good.
That's cool. So, and I guess too, a couple of weeks ago, or I guess this was back in July, we talked about how we want our kids to see us and how we want our kids to talk about us when we're old and gone. And bringing it to current day, what are 3 words your kids would use to describe you?
Well, right now, usually it'd be like probably like tall. He's called me like a meanie a lot recently, so that'd be up there. So all really inspiring things that I'm sure I'll be happy to be remembered by. No, I think what I would hope is that as we grow older, he'd remember me for, again, loving them sacrificially, for supporting and like being a good listener. I guess that's one thing. Like, it's something I need to work on. It's something that I respect a lot in people who seem like they're better at it than I am. But like, when my kids talk to me, do they feel heard? Like, do they, even if I disagree with them, even if at some point I just have to say, this is what you do because you're my kid, like, am I actually genuinely listening to them? So I'd hope that's something that they would remember and recognize as they grow up. So yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, and that's a great response. It's a great way for everyone to view that, for sure.
Absolutely. All right, Shane, before we let you out of here, again, we mentioned, you and Kyle with the Frustration Nation podcast. I think it's such a cool deal. You guys are Detroit and Chicago, and you're like, oh, these teams just frustrate us to no end, as he talked about. Right. What's the latest and with that and anything else that you guys have going on?
For sure. Yeah, it's going to be with football coming back, college and NFL. It's just going to be, we're really ramping up, a lot of content coming out. We just passed episode 100 a few weeks ago. So nice. Yeah, we're at 104, I think, coming out early this coming week. So yeah, follow us at Real FN Podcast on Twitter, or just the Frustration Nation podcast. And yeah, with football season coming back, there's going to be more frustration than ever. That's we're even kind of thinking through like, what are ways we can kind of not rebrand, but like emphasize that in our shows. We've added some new songs, some new segments and intros. So it's been fun, kind of the way that's evolved. But yeah, you can follow us there or at my Twitter at Michigan Hat. I'm going to try this season to do a lot more like of the 2-minute, because I think that's the limit on Twitter videos, like the 2-minute reaction post game for Michigan games. So nice. Yeah, my quick thoughts there. So yeah, trying to get out as much content as we have time to with kids, which isn't a lot, but it'll be good. We're excited for the season.
Absolutely. Well, man, thanks again for joining us and coming back on, and good luck to the Wolverines and all the Detroit teams the rest of the way, and looking forward to talking with you again soon.
Appreciate it. We'll need it for sure. So yeah, think of us this year. Yeah.
If you guys end up canning Harbaugh, hopefully you'll be the unfrustrated.
That would probably help. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. But then we'll probably hire somebody who's never coached before, and I'll be just as frustrated again. So.
That's right. You can't lose the brand. So.
No, there's always more to go around. So
that's right. Absolutely. All right, Shane. Thanks a lot, man. Take care.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
You too.
See ya.
All right, guys, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, it's the debut of the best tailgate foods bracket. We'll do that and more when we come back on Dad's Watching Sports. Big news in the Dad's Watching Sports podcasting world. You've heard us mention it on the show already. We are now part of the Off the Ball Podcast Network. We're super excited to be joining the team of great shows, hopefully adding a little dad flavor to the mix. You can check out Off the Ball Podcast and Off the Ball Network on all your social media sites. Just search Off the Ball Network. And while you're there, give them a like and a follow. You won't regret it. We're back here on Dad's Watching Sports. Kyle Castles, Matt Kirk, Michael Draper. Thanks to Shane from the Frustration Nation podcast, the man in the Michigan hat, for joining us and talking some Michigan football and also some dad life. And we appreciate that for sure. Guys, we've got some really good stuff to get into the rest of the way. We'll talk some more college football to finish up the show, and we're going to get into our food bracket here in just a moment. But anything else going on in y'all's world? One thing I have to throw out is today we were out on the lake just for a very short, brief period of time, and it was a little chilly up here, hence the hoodie. And I jump, and like usually what we'll do is when we're out, we try to, have like some sunglasses because it's usually pretty bright out. And so usually I put those in my hand, I'll jump in the water and then put them on. And Kyle, I jumped in the water was freezing cold. And I guess when I did it, I just kind of let out like and when I did, sunglasses right out of my hand and are somewhere.
And you don't get the sunglasses that float, you get the sunglasses that sink.
I get the sunglasses that sink because I'm cheap and don't buy the sunglasses that float.
Well, hopefully, so they were cheap, so it's not a huge loss.
Well, they were Under Armour sunglasses, but they were a Christmas gift from which I believe was my mother-in-law last year. So much for the Under Armour sunglasses. They're gone.
Pay them. Don't get mad at him. It was a mistake.
She was on the boat with us, and she gave me her. She said that she forgave me for doing that. But yeah, absolutely. It's always a fun time. So
well, they're under the water armor isn't going to work.
I know that's not going to work very well at all. They're going to be swimming with the fishes now, and now they are under the water and not under the armor. All right, guys, let's get into the Dad's Watching Sports best tailgate food bracket. So we've got 32 food items that were voted on. So let me give a little bit of backstory on how this was put together. So we had 4 individuals that gave their votes, and that was how we seeded the bracket. We gave more than 32, so that way we had enough to kind of not only see comparisons or whatever, but so a huge shout out to a couple of our Twitter followers that participated. Matt participated, and then Shane, who we just had on, also gave his. And so we tried to kind of organize those. And we also took into consideration some of the votes over the past couple of weeks as we had asked some of our guests on there as well. So we'll start. Actually, we took a couple of our regions. So we had the Sausage Ball region. They are the number 1 seed in their region. And we put that vote to Twitter. So we'll go through that very quickly. So Sausage Balls was up against the 8 seed Deviled Eggs, and Sausage Balls in a walkaway ended up winning that. Then you had the 4 seed Sub Sandwiches against the 5 seed Breakfast Casserole. It was a nail biter, but in the last seconds of the game, Breakfast Casserole pulled off the upset, the 5 over the 4. Then you had the 3 seed, which was just generic cookies, hard to beat, against the 6 seed Biscuits and Gravy, also very hard to beat, but cookies went away with a win. And then Chips and Queso, or Chips and Cheese Dip, the 2 seed against Pimento Cheese Sandwiches, and you got Chips and Cheese Dip moving on in that region. Kyle, then in the burger region, we had the 1 seed Burgers versus the 8 seed Cake, and it was a walk-away win there. The 4 seed, in which I think is vastly underseeded and is a team to watch out to make a Cinderella run, Chicken Tenders, the 4 seed, took out Veggie Trays. I don't even know who voted for that, but they were the 5 seed, and they are long gone. The 3 seed grilled chicken took on the 6 seed pulled pork, and pulled pork pulled off the upset.
Mhm.
Moving on to the Sweet 16, and then hot dogs took out Bean Dip in the 2-7 matchup. So we've got half of our Sweet 16, and guys, we're going to go through the other half right now with each of you. So Matt, I'm coming to you first. We've got in the pigs in a blanket region, we've got pigs in a blanket versus grilled corn on the cob, which is the 8 seed. A pretty good matchup. What do you got here, Matt?
I am going pigs in a blanket. Unless the Razorbacks are playing, I will not eat pigs in a blanket if the Razorbacks are playing.
So every Saturday you don't eat pigs in a blanket then?
Well, yes, but if I'm at like a tailgate for like the Cowboys or the Titans,
Okay.
you better make a triple batch of those if I'm around because I'm
There you go. All right, Kyle, pigs in the blanket, grilled corn on the cob. Do you move them on to the second round, or do we get a tie here?
I'll be honest. I don't eat much corn at all. Cornbread, popcorn, that's about it. So this one's easy for me. Pigs, give me the wieners in a crescent roll. That's what I want.
Wieners in a crescent roll. Moving on to the round of 16, where they will face the 4-5 matchup. That is brisket versus mac and cheese. I'm going first. And, guys, I'll be honest with you. I'm just not a brisket fan. And I know, Matt, what you're going to say is, oh, you've never had it cooked right. I've had it cooked right several times, and I don't like it. So I'm not a brisket fan, and I'm not picking it to win this matchup. I'm going mac and cheese. Kyle, can we knock out brisket here?
So Matt's not going to have to say it. I'm going to say it for you. If you don't like brisket, it's because you haven't had it done right.
I've had it done perfectly, and it just doesn't take.
No, you're wrong.
No, because if you had it done perfectly, Michael, you would like it. So
you would.
Take
I'm not saying I don't like it, but
somewhere
it's just
else.
not that good.
No,
Overrated.
you know what? Your opinion doesn't matter anymore because I know Matt's going to agree with me. Give me the brisket all day long.
Well, Kyle, I hate to do this to you.
I know.
Yes.
But the thing about brisket is if the person that doesn't cook it sucks at it, it's not good. It's a lot like it's a lot like the other thing that you compare with playing golf with. It's not good. Or having mac and cheese is like the other thing they compare doing golf to. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be good for you to be good at it.
I'm so confused, but I think you're voting for mac and cheese.
Yes, I vote
He's
for mac
voting
and
for
cheese
mac and
because
cheese.
brisket,
We'll leave it at that.
if you get it somewhere, the most of the time it's dry and it doesn't taste right. And unless it's coming out of this guy's smoker, I ain't eating it. Or unless it comes from a catered place. But I would take mac and cheese over it because I'm going to have my ribs and my pulled pork anyway.
Mac and cheese, slight upset. Moving on to the round 16. All right, the 3 seed ribs versus the 6 seed potato salad. Kyle.
Well, I know I'm wrong on this one, but I will tell you a story.
Please do.
To heck with the time.
Story time with Kyle.
Story time with Kyle. So
Wish we had some little background music like piano softly
I know,
playing.
right? You know what? That's your job for the next week. We'll do story. That will be a weekly
Story time with Uncle Kyle.
Anyway, so when I was living out in California and I was coaching at that high school, I had a coach. I was working for a coach that was actually from Oklahoma. He wasn't from California, so he was different. And he brought in for the Sunday coaches meeting, a batch of like brontosaurus. You know what I'm talking about? This long, this thick on the back end, brontosaurus ribs, right? That he had smoked. And they were amazing. He even did like the Carolina barbecue sauce, that vinegar based, like running sauce, like
beef or pork?
Beef.
Yes. Those things that make you want to slap your mama.
Exactly, right? So they were just fantastic. And I ate a few during that meeting. Well, that night, the stomach got to rumbling a little bit.
Oh boy.
And eventually I had to run to the bathroom. And there was some had some stomach issues. I'm sitting there as those issues continue long into the night. And then all of a sudden,
Where is the story going?
wait. Then all of a sudden I go, oh, this isn't good. It's going to come out the other end too.
Oh, no.
So I got to make a decision here, okay? I can't get up. I can't get up because it's going to be bad.
I hope your mother's not watching this.
She's heard the story. I have this little trash can, or I have the bathtub. And I got to choose, and I go, one, I'm not so sure I can hit this little trash can. And two, I'm not so sure this little trash can is going to be able to hold everything. So I proceed to not lean too far because I don't need to spray everything on the wall, but lean just enough that I can throw up into the bathtub.
Oh my
It
god!
gets
We call that. I had to go to my friend George Strait here. We call that going through the big D.
Yeah, I was going through something. And not only that, there were big chunks of the rib in the bathtub, and so I couldn't just wash everything down. I had to like scrape stuff out and throw it away. It was
Kyle, next time you say I've got a story, here I was thinking you were going to say, like, my grandmother makes the best potato salad.
Yeah, me too.
Instead, we got that. So you're
so because of that, I have tried, because my stepfather-in-law, he smokes everything, and he's really good. He has really good ribs, so I've been told. I've actually tried them; they are good. But just smelling ribs. Thanks, Donna Castles.
So Kyle's mom chimes in and says, glad it was happening in California and not at my house.
Yeah.
Well played, Donna.
So I can't eat ribs anymore. Like, just the smell of them gets me sick to my stomach. So I'm going to vote potato. All that to be said, I'm voting potato salad. But y'all go ahead and outvote me, and I'll just always vote against ribs.
So, Story Time with Uncle Kyle debuted today, and it ended today because you're never allowed again to share. All right, Matt, ribs or potato salad?
All right, so now it's my turn for a story. And my grandma makes the best potato salad. No, I'm kidding. No, man, you can't beat a rib, man. It's got its own handle. And, and there's nothing like after you finish a nice, juicy, succulent pork rib and you just go, and you eat that barbecue sauce off your fingers and you get that napkin and it's all sticky from before, from using it to wipe your fingers, and you got barbecue sauce all over your face. Man, you can't beat that. So I'm going ribs.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go ribs too. I mean, I'm honestly not a huge ribs fan, but I'm also not a big potato salad fan either, and so I'm going ribs just out of default because it's the better of the two in my book. All right, guys, next matchup. I'm creating an audible here. The next matchup was supposed to be chili versus guacamole, but after hearing Kyle's story, I just don't even know that I could think of any kind of food anymore. But no, as I got to thinking about this and looking through this bracket. To me, there's one food that's just not here that is that without a doubt should be, and that's pizza. And so I bumped guacamole. So now the matchup is the 2-seed chili versus the 7-seed pizza. I am going to vote first, and I'm going pizza because I enjoy pizza, and while I like chili. You can't beat a good pizza even at a tailgate. So, Matt, I'll let you go next.
Okay, so the question is what time of year are we going to this football game?
This is just generic football game weekend.
Okay, well, I'm thinking football. I'm thinking October. It's a little chilly out, and I don't mean that in the sense of the bracket here, but it's a little cold. You're kind of enjoying yourself. You're having a nice cold beer or maybe some hot chocolate, and you're going to eat yourself some nice hot chili with a little bit of Frito in there. You have some Fritos, and you put in a little dollop of sour cream with it. and a piece of cornbread.
Kyle, you shake your head. Does that mean we brought pizza in off the injured reserve, and are they about to get bounced early?
So here's the thing. I was right there with Matt. It really depends on, are we talking like week 1 tailgate? Or are we talking about like week 7 tailgate? Because the weather's going to change there in those 2 months. But if you're going to just tell me I got to pick one, the tailgates in the fall where there's the chill in the air, that's what we really enjoy. And that's when you got to have that nice bowl of chili, a little jalapenos on the top of it. Yeah, it's got to be the chili, man.
Chili's tough. Chili's a tough out. That could make a serious run here to make a run at the shot. So Jason Hitchings chimes in. I don't like potato salad, but after that rib story, everybody's sure Jason, I'm right with you, man. Ribs are forever off the menu in everyone's household that's listening to this podcast, which I know is hundreds of thousands of individuals out there. So
millions
and millions.
There it is.
All right, guys, we got the last bracket that we'll go through for tonight, or the last region. We've got the 1 seed wings, and that could be in any sauce. It doesn't have to be buffalo. It could be whatever you want. But chicken wings versus the 8 seed, another side dish, coleslaw. Matt, I will let you go first. And by the look on your face, I think it's a runaway. Maybe your coleslaw is about like Kyle's ribs.
Yeah, I unfortunately don't like coleslaw. I think it is the biggest waste of lettuce. Which, even though I don't even eat a whole lot of lettuce, I don't believe in it. I am a herbivore. But anyway, so
well, you know, a herbivore is the ones that only eat plants, right?
Oh,
right.
No, it's not. No,
Yeah.
Carnivore. Sorry, I'm a carnivore. I got it confused.
For all of our dinosaur lovers out there.
I'm a carnivore, okay? I'm a carnivore, hardcore carnivore.
There you go.
But again, chicken has that built-in handle, man. If you get the drummies, but I'm more of a flat guy. I like to push mine down like an umbrella, like our boy Grower talks about, and we do it like an umbrella. We dunk it in the ranch and you toss them bones in the trash.
All right, I'm going next. I'm moving wings on. I don't think this is any contest whatsoever. Coleslaw is an awful choice. I can't even believe it made the bracket. The next matchup, however, is a doozy.
Whoa. First off, you're not going to disparage the good name of coleslaw. If I got pulled pork, there better be some coleslaw to put on it. And secondly, Matthew, you're wrong. You got to have blue cheese, not ranch. Okay, now you can move on.
No, get your blue cheese out of here with your wings or your ribs. All right, now this is a matchup that I think is
I don't have ribs. I want wings with blue cheese. Good gummit.
All right, Kyle. All right,
Blue
so
cheese.
next matchup is brownies and jalapeno poppers. Kyle, since you're so animated, we'll let you go first here.
Oh, I was hoping I'd go last on this one. This one's hard. I mean, you got to have sweets, right? There's got to be sweets to, but it's jalapeno poppers. Some cheddar and jalapeno. Wrap them up in some bread and fry them.
No, that's not what you're talking about, Kyle. You're talking about the jalapeno stuffed with cream cheese, and then you put a little barbecue rub on top, and then you wrap it in bacon and you throw it on the smoker.
Hang on. What are we talking about? Are we talking about the jalapeno cheddar cheese like fried, or are we talking about the
smoke?
Well,
grilled bacon?
Well, actually, when you said jalapeno poppers, Matt, that's what I thought, because that's what those are called, poppers. But I understand what you're saying. You're talking about the wrapped things with. So let's just say jalapeno appetizer things that we
jalapeno cream cheese wrapped in bacon and put on the grill.
Yeah, well, you don't grill it, you smoke it, but yeah.
I don't. However you do it, as long as I got bacon wrapped around some jalapenos with cream cheese, it's the winner.
And smoke.
That's the one. Go ahead.
All right, Matt, are you moving it on, or are we taking brownies?
Man, I was going back and forth too. I had the same debate about having sweets, but I've got a feeling that somebody's going to sneak something else in with them cookies. And I'm going to go with the jalapeno poppers.
All right, jalapeno poppers moving on, even though we don't really know which version we're talking about. Now the next matchup, I actually just noticed that I left one of them blank, so we're actually going to put guacamole back in. We got ham and cheese sliders, the 3 seed, against guacamole chips and guac, the 6 seed. Matt, go ahead and vote first.
Give me them hot ham and cheese sliders.
Kyle?
Are these the ones on the Hawaiian rolls with the butter? Yeah, that's the ones, the ham and cheese sliders.
They would have been moving on with me as well. So ham and cheese sliders move on. All right, so our Sweet 16 is set.
No, it's not. 2-7 matchup, Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. We've got the 2-7 matchup, brats, the 2 seed, and pretzels, the 7 seed. I'm going first. I love a good brat, but man, give me a pretzel with some mustard on the side. I'm going pretzels. Matt.
Man, I'm just curious. How do they keep pretzels warm? Like, how do you get them warm at a tailgate? Because that's kind of a determining factor. Because you're not going to get a nice warm pretzel and some warm cheese. I'm going to go with a brat because you can grill that thing and you can take it off and it'll be so warm and it'll burn your mouth. So I'm going to go brat.
That's a fair argument, Kyle. You get to split the decision here.
Yeah, it's got to be brats, right? Give me a big old brat and between some nice buns and a little bit of mustard and kraut, and I'm happy.
Kyle loves his buns. All right, well, we've got a Sweet 16 that's set. We got sausage balls, breakfast casserole, cookies, chips and queso, pigs in a blanket, mac and cheese, ribs, chili, wings, jalapeno poppers, ham and cheese sliders, brats, burgers, tenders, pulled pork, and hot dogs. My goodness, how are we going to choose a winner out of that? You'll have to wait till next week and beyond for us to continue to go through that, but we'll do that on the show the next couple of weeks. Guys, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, we'll see what happens.
Coming up next week on Dad's Watching Sports, we go into the Sweet 16 of the Best Tailgate Foods bracket, and we're joined by Alan Taylor. He covers the Florida Gators for The Athletic. We are previewing Alabama at Florida in the Swamp. That's next week, episode 81, Dad's Watching Sports. We will see you then.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It is Dad's Watching Sports. Matt Kirk, Kyle Castles, Michael Draper, and we're finishing up the show here. As always, we appreciate anybody checking us out. Please go ahead and make sure and hit that rate, review, and subscribe. If you're downloading the podcast, if you're checking us out on our live stream, we'd love to hear from you throughout the show. We try to throw up as many comments as we can. We can't get to them all, but we appreciate everybody with your comments and checking in the show with the Dad's Watching Sports podcast that we've got going on here. All right, guys, I don't know if y'all saw this, but pretty interesting story has developed. Man, I don't know what's going on with your camera, brother, but you were just moving things all over the place.
Sorry.
Jacket. What's going on? Everything all right there?
It wouldn't be a Dad's Watching Sports show if I didn't jack with my camera at the show.
That's right. That's right. At least you got those questions worked out. We're glad you got back on board with us there.
Yeah, that was pretty embarrassing.
Little hiccup.
You guys
So Nick Hathcock says no Pancho's cheese dip. So we do have chips and cheese dip. It was chips and cheese dip / queso, kind of whatever you want to make of that, Nick. It was good to hear from you.
Do we need another story time? Because there's a story
Pancho's
behind
cheese
that.
dip?
There's a restaurant. It's I think it's kind of predominantly in the South, Matt. It's called Pancho's. I think that's maybe Kyle's dog barking there. It's called Pancho's, so it's a Mexican restaurant, and they've got this white cheese dip that I've actually got some in the fridge. It is pretty spot on, pretty good stuff. So
Nice.
Kyle, everything all right there with the pups?
I don't have a clue. I'll be honest with you.
You had the cat behind you a couple of weeks ago, and now you got the dog.
Yeah, I have no clue. Like I literally just texted Lori and said, "Get the dogs." I don't know what's going on.
The Zoo de Castles going on there.
Yeah.
All right, so guys, really interesting story, kind of wild story that has developed over the past week and a half, revolving around a school that's not a school, but maybe a school, but not really a school, called Bishop Sycamore. So it all kind of came to a head last week when Bishop Sycamore was playing IMG Academy, which IMG Academy is one of the best high schools in the country. Always have a really good football program, basketball program. So the game was on ESPN. It was already like 35-0, and ESPN basically admits that they were duped by this Bishop Sycamore High School. That's not even a school. It's basically a bunch of like junior college dropout kids, and they were getting just beat down. And they said, "Hey, you know, we've got all these kids that are going to be recruited, and they're top Division I athletes, and all this and all that." How does this even happen? This is one of the more wild stories we've seen in sports recently.
So ESPN is blaming the marketing firm that found the team, I guess we can call it. I don't even know. I honestly have no clue. Like, it doesn't take much. A simple Google search will tell you Bishop Sycamore is not real. They were in their second year of existence.
Yeah, somebody didn't do their job.
It's like you just let someone make the decision that, like, hey, we're just gonna bring this school on, and zero research. Somebody didn't do their job. Quite frankly, I think it puts the kids at IMG in danger, because IMG is trusting the marketing firm and ESPN to do the homework and make sure they get a legitimate school, and this would not be a legitimate school, probably not insured. It's a bad look for ESPN. I'll be really honest.
Well, and the thing is, what puzzled me is they didn't have a home stadium. Like, who doesn't have what high school do y'all know that doesn't have a home stadium where they actually play all their home games?
Yeah.
None. There's not one. And, that's the part. And you hit the nail on the head with this. This is exactly what I thought was, what if one of those players were to hit one of those guys and kill him, and, it's guys that you don't know anything about that could be convicts. They could have a record.
The head coach was. There is.
The head coach had a warrant out for his arrest. So.
Jamarcus Russell was their quarterback.
Yeah, I think he very well may have been. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, just an unbelievable story. And yeah, somebody screwed up and didn't do their job at all, which was absolutely hilarious. So Nick jumps in and says, almost as bad as the jerseys for Indiana this weekend. Not sure if you guys saw this or not. Just pulled a picture here. Yeah, so there's Indiana, which is pretty hilarious. Good job. That's about on par for Indiana, without a doubt. So,
but you know what? They're still going to beat Michigan, according to Shane.
Well, they might be, and there's no doubt about that. All right, guys. One more thing we'll get into a little bit more college football. Just kind of looking forward to this weekend and some picks. Have you guys heard about the Nirvana lawsuit that has come up? Matt, you seem to have a puzzle. Okay, so you guys remember really their most famous album, or maybe not most famous, but the one most people know about. It's got the little baby in the pool, and in most places that little baby is completely exposed. And so that guy, clearly that was a real person. And so that guy has decided to sue Nirvana and his parents, and there's some sort of weird whole deal about this, saying that for like consent and all this stuff. Here we are, probably 30 years later, give or take from that. So Matt, my question to you is, if you're the judge in whatever state, and this guy comes up to you and says, hey, I was a baby, I didn't have consent to do this, my parents didn't get my consent, they didn't sign off on this, here I was naked on a CD cover, you ruling in his favor, or are you saying, my good man, it's been 30 years, I don't think so?
I'd say that smells like teen spirit, and tell them to come as you are. And I would not award them a lawsuit with that, because that is way past statute of limitations, even though I guess it's probably still sold. That kid's parents, who had his rights at that time, signed off on it. So you can't award them that. That would be crazy.
I don't know if Jason Hitchens is still checking out the live stream. Jason, if you are, would love to hear. Jason's a lawyer. Would love to hear your take on this as well. But Kyle, you're married to one, so what's the legal representation for dads watching sports? What does the Castles family have to say about this?
Well, so there you go. She just kind of came on. I don't know how this doesn't, and like this is what I was thinking. I don't know how it's not child porn. I mean, you have a baby, and like his penis is obviously there. So I don't.
Well, he's also underwater, which is also like a little troubling.
Like to me, there's a lot going on there, and I'm actually shocked. Like I've never thought about it until, quite frankly, this conversation. But I don't know how.
How did that happen?
How did it even like make it onto the shelves?
Right, exactly. You know what I mean? How was that allowed?
So, I don't think like my wife came on and said, like, you can't consent. Show it.
Jason, so I mentioned Jason, he's a lawyer. I was looking for a little legal expertise, and he just comes back with maybe it was a water birth, which maybe it was. It was.
And that $1 bill floating is the tip for the doctor.
That's right.
Anyway, I don't know how you can't consent to child porn, and to me, you're right there at the. Anyways,
yeah.
I don't know that I rule in favor. Like, I don't necessarily know that I'm gonna like give the guy anything if I'm the judge, but it's a bad, like, you just don't do that.
Yeah. My whole thing throughout this again has just been like, how, like, as society, how did we just deem that was okay? Because now, I mean, there's just no way that would fly.
Because Kurt Cobain said it was okay.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. But yeah, I agree. I don't think he's got a leg to stand on in terms of that lawsuit. All right, guys, let's get back to college football and stop talking about little babies naked on album covers. We're in week 2 of the college football season, some big games. We'll get to our picks in just a second, but anything in particular you guys are looking forward to the most? I will go first in this. I am looking forward to, and you're going to say Homer, but Kentucky hosts Missouri this weekend, which is actually a pretty big game in the East, because I think everybody's pretty set on, Georgia looked great this past weekend, or at least defensively. Florida is probably still second, but then it's really kind of Missouri and Kentucky battling it out for third, maybe even get in second. It's a huge game. It's at night. It's in Lexington, so I'm looking forward to that the most. Anything else on y'all's radar looking forward to in week 2?
I'm looking forward to that Oregon-Ohio State game. I think Oregon will give Ohio State fits. I hope Ohio State gets beat, man. I cannot stand them. And also, which I'm also being a homer here, this is the first primetime game at night in Razorback Stadium since, I guess it was 2014 when when Arkansas hosted Alabama at home. That's the first night primetime game they've had on ESPN in the spotlight. SEC Nation will be there. We're playing the Longhorns, old school rivalry, and I hope that we make them look like the Shorthorns.
Old school about to be new school rivalry with Texas coming back in the fold. Kyle, anything to get to before we get to our picks?
After such a big weekend like this, I mean, we had Georgia, Clemson, and as an old school football fan, I love the defensive battle there. We don't have as big of games. I mean, Iowa State, I think, is going to be fun to watch.
Yep.
So that one, I'm curious to see how North Carolina bounces back after getting beaten by Vatech. I don't know. There's some that are somewhat interesting, but for the most part, I think we've kind of hit on all of them.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. All right, as we're heading into our second weekend, here's how we did first weekend, and I know some of the numbers are a little bit off, and I'll give the reason for that. But Kyle at 3-2, Matt at 4-1, I'm at 2-2. I'm still waiting on the result of that Notre Dame Florida State game because that was my upset pick of the week. Looks like Notre Dame's going to end up winning that as they're up 38-20. Kind of late in the game, but that's how we fared in week 1. Let's move to week 2, guys. First game we're going, Matt, you just mentioned the Razorbacks hosting Texas, primetime ESPN. Texas at Arkansas. Matt, you going with your heart? You going with your head, or does your head match your heart? Where you at?
I am going to go with the old Woo Pig Suey on this one. I think that the fans are going to be hype. I think that we started seeing some good positive, things to go forward on for this week. And I think Hogs are going to win. I think it's going to be a little bit closer than I hoped for, but I think Hogs are going to win by 3.
Kyle.
The little bit I saw of Texas, I felt like they looked pretty good. I think Arkansas is going in the right direction, and I don't like saying that because usually it's Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Ole Miss to try to figure out who's going to be, not the bottom 2 in the West. And so I think Arkansas is going in the right direction, but I don't think they're there yet. I'm going to go with Texas.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with Texas, and you basically had my talking points there, Kyle, so I won't repeat that, but I'm going Texas as well. Utah at BYU. As this is known as the Holy War, but BYU had an impressive win over the weekend. Utah is ranked in the top 25. I'm going with the Cougars, a little bit of an upset, taking down Utah. Matt, you got BYU or the Running Utes?
I am going with BYU. I just kind of got that feeling that I think they're going to win.
Oh.
Look, it's in Provo, and I know I'll understand all that, but give me the Utes, man. I really think this might be the year Utah can put some stuff together and maybe challenge for a Pac-12 title.
So speaking of the Pac-12, another big game in that conference, Oregon heading to Ohio State. Matt, you just mentioned it's a big game this weekend. Kyle, I'll let you go first. You got the Ducks going into the Horseshoe and knocking off the Buckeyes?
I think there's a lot of people that look at Ohio State right now after the way they started against Minnesota, slow. And a lot of people go like, maybe Ohio State's not quite what we thought they were going to be. I'm not one of those people. I think Ryan Day is a heck of a coach, and I think he has found the button to push with this group, and he'll push it again. I think they handle Oregon pretty easily.
I agree. I would love to see Oregon to go in there and knock off Ohio State, but I just think Ohio State's got too many weapons. Oregon kind of struggled a little bit in their game. I believe it was against Fresno State this past weekend, which they're not just a terrible team, but I'm going to Ohio State and at least 2 touchdowns in that game. Matt, what do you think?
I think that ultimately Ohio State's going to win, but I hope Oregon gives them all they want. I can't stand Ohio State. I hate that they're always in it. And I got one of my best friends growing up that's an Ohio State fan, so I really look forward to rubbing it in his face when they lose.
Guys, I'm going to throw one game in here. Iowa at Iowa State. It's where game day is this weekend. It's a big matchup of Iowa just took it to Indiana this weekend. Iowa State, one of the top 10 teams in the country. So you got the Hawkeyes against the Cyclones. It's a rivalry game, Big 10 versus Big 12. I'm going first, and I'm going with the Hawkeyes, man. Looked really impressive, just destroying Indiana over the weekend. So give me the Hawkeyes and the upset in Ames to knock off Iowa State. Kyle.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Hawkeyes as well. Kirk Ferentz, every once in a while he'll have one of these Iowa teams that will sit in the top 10 most of the year, and I think he may have one of those this year.
Matt, you making it 3 for 3, or you got the Cyclones?
I don't even know what the heck a Hawkeye is. The only Hawkeye I've ever heard of is what goes in your beans, your beans on New Year's Day, which I think that's a hog. That's a hog jaw.
Oh, that's hog jaw.
Never mind.
Yeah.
What the heck is a Hawkeye?
It's a Hawkeye, man.
What? It's like the eye of a hawk.
Yeah.
You've heard of Eye of the Tiger, man. This is Eye of the Hawk.
I'm going Iowa State just to prove y'all wrong again, like I did with the Clemson Georgia pick.
All right, last game before we get into our official picks for the playoff, because we hadn't done that yet. Washington and Michigan. We heard what Shane had to say earlier in the night about Michigan and to not get too overconfident on them and Harbaugh and their abilities. Washington coming off a humiliating loss to Montana at home. They were a top 25 team, Kyle. Can they right the ship and can they go into Ann Arbor and get a win, or does Michigan go to 2-0?
No, I think Washington figures it out. My guess is they were looking past Because, I mean, if you look at it, it was 7-3 at the end of the first quarter, and I'm sure there was a little bit of a, okay, this will finish itself, and then it didn't. And if you let that team stick around long enough, they can find a way to beat you. In 10 points in the fourth quarter for the Grizz, ended it for the Huskies, but not this time. They're going to walk in, they're going to know what's up, and they're going to beat Michigan in the Big House.
Matt?
I'm going with Michigan. I think that Washington team without can't remember that coach's name, but without their good coach, and I think that Michigan's got their back against the wall. I think Harbaugh knows he's fighting for his job this year, and I think he is going to walk all over Washington.
You're thinking of Peterson that used to be at Boise State. That was their coach.
Yes.
I'm going to go Michigan too. I think Michigan's just got some good forward momentum. I think they finally found them a quarterback, and I'm going to go with the Wolverines to get to 2-0 and knock off Washington, who is they got a tough road to go with still the Pac-12 coming up. All right, guys, really quickly, and then we got to get out of here. College football playoff predictions. Matt, I'm going to go to you first. What is your prediction for the college football playoff this year?
All right, so I think the 1 seed is going to be Georgia, and I'm going to go with the 4 seed to play them is going to be Oklahoma. And then I've got the 2 seed coming in as Notre Dame, and I think that they are going to play Alabama as the 3 seed.
All right, Kyle.
So Alabama's the 1 seed, Georgia's the 4 seed. So we're going to see Georgia go undefeated.
Okay.
Until the SEC title game where they play Alabama. Alabama wins, but people are going to go, you can't take a 1-loss Georgia because it'll be a close game, maybe even low scoring, but you're going to see a close game there, and they're going to go, you can't knock them out. So Georgia, without winning the SEC title, is going to knock out a 1-loss Oklahoma. The Pac-12 champion will not matter because they'll have 2 to 3 losses. And so it'll be Alabama, Georgia, like for the second time in a row there. And then it'll be Ohio State and Notre Dame after that.
All right. So you got Ohio State and Notre Dame. All right. So mine, I've got Bama at 1. I think Clemson is going to run the table and get back in there just because a couple of teams will get knocked off throughout the regular season. So I got them as the 4. And then I have Notre Dame and Ohio State as well as the 2 and the 3, with Ohio State being that as well. So Kyle and you and I are both in alignment there in terms of those teams. So we'll see how it shakes out, guys. And we'll kind of keep note of what our predictions were. So next week, guys, we got Alan Taylor. He covers Florida Gators for The Athletic. He's going to join us to talk about Bama going to the Swamp, which we're very excited about for that exact reason. We will have him on next week. So it's been a good show. Look forward to seeing everybody next week. We will talk to you next week on Dad's Watching Sports. Y'all take care.